The magnificent Bahrain International Circuit sits majestically in the desert, situated just 30 kilometers from the capital Manama. Welcome to the Bahrain Grand Prix, where practice is about to get underway. Welcome then to all our viewers, and of course to Anthony Davidson as well. Now Ant, I wanted to ask you, obviously there's a lot of hard work involved in these sessions, a lot of simulations as well. Is this something the drivers enjoy, or is it just a routine that becomes a chore?
There's nothing routine about driving a Formula 1 car, I can tell you that. 300 kilometers per hour down the straights, 4G through the corners. It's hard to ignore those forces acting on your body. It's lap after lap of hard, exhausting work. You always enjoy driving these cars, it's a real privilege. Although I must say, if you're having a day where you can't get the car to do what you want and it's generally underperforming, then it's a lot harder to stay motivated. But never a chore, no. Even if you're having a tough start to the weekend, at this point you know that if you work hard at it, there's still an opportunity to turn things around.
Good. Now let's try for purple. You'll get a bonus for consistency if you can chain good corners together. Stuff. You've pretty much nailed this circuit. This is a really strong foundation to build from over the weekend.
The cars are ready, the drivers are ready. We hope you're ready as qualifying is about to begin here in Bahrain.
Well, qualifying isn't about adjusting your approach necessarily, it's more about trying to repeat a low fuel run that you've practiced prior to this session. You're looking for perfection on the lap, and that's hard to achieve if you're trying something new. There are some variables that can stand in your way, however. Track position or unexpected yellow flags, for example. Coupled with ever-changing track conditions, it's important to be out there at the right moment. But as a driver, you have to try and ignore these distractions and just keep your mind focused on that one perfect lap.
Standing by. In P9.
Obviously, I expected a better session, but these things happen from time to time. Try to make up for it in the race.
The curtain rises once more then on the desert stage of Sakir as the players take their places for the opening act. Will they enthrall us like they did in 2014 with that titanic battle between Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton? Well, we'll find out shortly as we get underway here in Bahrain. We go racing today around 3.36 miles of the magnificent Bahrain International Circuit, with 15 corners and 2 good passing opportunities into turns 1 and 4. Keep an eye out for drivers locking the front left tyre into the tricky braking zone of turn 10. Joining me for the Grand Prix once again is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk briefly about Kimi Räikkönen. That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs. So it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Räikkönen, Vettel, Daniel Ricciardo, and Verstappen, Grosjean, Hülkenberg, Magnussen, and Carlos Sainz, Alonso, Ocon, Sergio Perez, and Leclerc, Van Dorn, Gasly, Brendan Hartley, and Lance Stroll, Sirotkin, and Scott. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Our grid position is not as high as we had hoped, but push hard in the race and hopefully with a bit of luck, we can finish with a positive result. Expect the grip levels to start falling away soon. Check your MFD for a new strategy option. Our gap to the car in front is 2.5 seconds. hardware. You shouldn't have too much trouble for the time being, but the grip is going to start falling away. Give us the best in-lap you can. This lap. Release. Okay, stay clear of the white line on the exit. Receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross over into the track. Okay, you're in the top 10. Seconds. by 7.0 seconds. Of fuel remaining. We'll see you in Park Fermé.
Here's our winner, pulling their Ferrari into Park Fermé. What a fantastic race it was. And Anthony Davidson, give me your thoughts. How did they accomplish this result?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs. And that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy and to stay out of trouble.
So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. Sebastian Vettel takes the lead of the Drivers' Championship. And now I'd like to ask you, Anthony Davidson, wou was your driver of the day?
Probably Stoffel van Dorn. You know, strong pace, good work with the strategy, just a very complete drive, I think.
And now let's take a look at the constructors' standings. Ferrari extend their lead at the top of the championship. There was also a strong showing from the Mercedes team today as they make their way up the standings. Well, what a weekend that has been. Please join us next time for another thrilling instalment of this Formula One season.
That's a great result. You did really well. I don't think we can have any complaints with that performance.